What happens when your team is missing nearly half its roster? The playoff race is slipping away, and all eyes are on you to deliver. For Lexie Hull of the Indiana Fever, that moment came against the Minnesota Lynx. And she didn't just show up. She lit the court on fire with the game of her life. But here's the twist. While Hull was breaking records and silencing critics, the Fever's nightmare with injuries got even worse. 6 key players, including Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham, are out. That left Indiana with one of the thinnest rotations in the league. Tonight, we'll dive into Lexie Hull's scorching breakout, the brutal reality of Indiana's injury crisis, the coaching decisions under fire, and what this all means for the Fever's playoff hopes. And stick around, because by the end, you'll see why Lexie's performance may be the spark this struggling team desperately needs. Lexie Hull has always been known as the grinder, the defender, the hustle player who throws her body into passing lanes, sprints the floor, and does the dirty work that doesn't always show up on the scoreboard. But against the Lynx, she looked like something entirely different, a star in the making. From the moment the ball tipped, Hull played with a fearlessness that stunned even her own teammates. Her first three-pointer snapped through the net with barely a whisper of the rim, and you could feel her confidence growing with every possession. The Lynx defenders were caught flat-footed by her sharp cuts to the basket, her relentless energy, and the fact that she never stopped moving. She didn't wait for the game to come to her. She went out and grabbed it. By halftime, she had already scored 18 points, nearly half of Indiana's entire output. Every shot she took had purpose. Every move was decisive. For a team running on fumes, she became the heartbeat, carrying the Fever into the locker room with a slim lead and a spark of belief. After the game, she admitted she knew she had to take on more than her usual role. With so many players down, there was no choice. "We're down, people," Hull said bluntly. "You've got to suck it up, play tired, and take those timeouts as best we can." But her body language said more than her words. This was a player who embraced the challenge and who wanted the responsibility of being more than a role player. By the final buzzer, her stat line read like a breakout headline. 23 points, 9 for 16 from the field, 4 of 7 from deep, and nearly 37 minutes on the floor. It wasn't just the numbers that stood out. It was how she got them. Threes from the corner, backdoor cuts through tight defensive lanes, mid-range pull-ups, rebounds in traffic. She became a Swiss Army knife on offense while still hustling on defense. This wasn't an outlier performance, it was a statement. But while Hull was shining, the Fever's injury crisis became impossible to ignore. It's almost unbelievable when you list it out. Caitlin Clark, the franchise's brightest star and the face of their future, has been sidelined since July with a groin injury. Sophie Cunningham tore her MCL. Her season ended before it really began. Sydney Colson's ACL tear was devastating, robbing the team of a veteran presence. And Ari McDonald was shelved with a nagging foot issue. That alone would cripple most teams. But the bad luck didn't stop there. In warm-ups before the Lynx game, Chloe Bibby reported soreness in her left knee and was ruled out. And late in the game, Odyssey Sims limped off and never returned, awaiting evaluation. Suddenly, the Fever weren't just undermanned, they were a team stripped down to its core, forced to lean on hardship signees and rookies who had barely practiced with the group. This is the kind of adversity that can crush a season. Fans knew the playoff race was already thin, but now it looked like Indiana was running on fumes, trying to piece together lineups on the fly. And yet, even with the odds stacked against them, the Fever showed resilience. Hull's heroics, Mitchell's scoring, Boston's steadiness, and Petty's surprise debut gave them moments of fight. But basketball is unforgiving, and Minnesota was waiting to pounce. The turning point came in the third quarter, and it wasn't subtle. Indiana went into halftime with momentum, hope, and belief. By the end of the third, it was gone. Minnesota outscored them 32-17 in that frame alone, ripping the game open and never looking back. What made it worse was how familiar it felt. This wasn't the first time the Fever had built a strong first half, only to collapse after halftime. It's become a pattern, a trend that fans and analysts can't ignore, and that's why the spotlight shifted to head coach Stephanie White. Critics say she failed to make adjustments. The Lynx spread the floor, attacked straight lines to the rim, and crashed the offensive glass. Indiana's defensive rotations were late, box outs were sloppy, and Boston was left stranded in the paint against multiple bodies. Yet, nothing changed. The coverages stayed the same. The energy dipped. The Fever watched their lead evaporate in real time. Afterward, White admitted the team broke down. She pointed to turnovers, fatigue, and the challenge of integrating new point guards midseason. And yes, the roster instability is real. But for many fans, that explanation doesn't erase the frustration. They see the same issues game after game. They see opponents adjust, and Indiana fail to respond. Injuries are a valid excuse, but they don't explain everything. So the question lingers, is this collapse about bad luck or about coaching? Even in the middle of chaos, there were bright spots worth celebrating. Kelsey Mitchell once again proved why she is the franchise cornerstone. She scored 27 points, drilled 5 threes, and kept attacking no matter how much defensive pressure Minnesota sent her way. Before the game, her teammates honored her by wearing MVP Kelsey shirts during arrivals, a gesture that clearly meant the world to her. Afterward, she admitted, "They make me feel important to them, and that value means everything to me." Her leadership was as valuable as her scoring. Aaliyah Boston gave the Fever a steady presence in the paint. Her 15 points and 6 rebounds may not have been explosive, but they kept Indiana from completely losing the battle inside. Considering how much defensive attention she draws, her consistency was crucial, even if critics wanted more dominance. And then there was Shea Petty. Signed just days before on a hardship contract, she barely had time to learn the system. Yet she came in and scored 10 points, hitting 3 of 4 from deep. Her composure and confidence gave Indiana a jolt, even if her playmaking still showed rawness. Together, Hull, Mitchell, Boston, and Petty kept the Fever's heart beating. They showed flashes of what could be if the roster were whole. But flashes don't win games, and the harsh reality set in during the final minutes. Here's the truth that can't be avoided. As inspiring as Lexie Hull's breakout performance was, one player alone cannot rescue a roster this battered, this depleted, and this vulnerable. Her 23 points and fearless energy lit up the night, but basketball is never just about one spark. For the Fever, the cracks in their foundation have grown too wide to be hidden by even the brightest individual performance. Right now, Indiana is clinging to 6th place in the standings, just a half game ahead of 7th and barely clear of 9th. That's not a cushion, it's a trapdoor waiting to open. Every single loss tightens the noose. Every turnover, every late rotation, every missed free throw is magnified under the pressure of a playoff race that allows no room for error. And with 6 players sidelined, those mistakes pile up faster than the team can repair them. Minnesota's devastating third-quarter run didn't just win them the game. It ripped away the thin veil covering Indiana's flaws. It showed how fragile the Fever's structure really is. The Lynx spread the floor, ran downhill, and attacked the glass, while Indiana's rotations lagged behind, their legs heavy from extended minutes and unfamiliar lineups. What fans saw wasn't just fatigue, it was a team unraveling in real time. The source of those cracks is a painful mix. The relentless string of injuries, the thin rotations that force role players into roles they aren't ready for, and coaching decisions that too often fail to adapt when opponents make adjustments. By halftime, Indiana had momentum and belief. By the end of the third quarter, they had another lost lead, another injured player, and another reason for doubt. For Lexie Hull, this game will be remembered as a career-defining moment, a night where she proved she could be more than just a supporting piece. But for the Indiana Fever, it will be remembered as a brutal reminder that unless something changes soon, whether it's healthier bodies returning or a sharper vision from the sidelines, their season could collapse long before the playoffs even begin. Lexie Hull didn't just play the best game of her career, she showed what this team could look like if its pieces were healthy and firing together. She proved she can be more than a role player, more than just hustle and defense. She proved she can lead. Kelsey Mitchell reaffirmed her status as the cornerstone of the franchise, carrying the offense and the team's spirit. Aaliyah Boston held her ground inside, and Shea Petty's surprise debut reminded fans that sometimes fresh faces can spark belief. But the Fever's reality is harsh. 6 players are injured, coaching questions loom large, and the playoff margin is razor thin. Every possession, every quarter, every decision could determine whether Indiana survives the regular season. So I'll ask you, is this collapse really about bad luck with injuries, or is it about Stephanie White's inability to adjust? Where do you stand? If you believe in Lexie Hull after her career night, drop a comment with Lexie Show. And if you want to follow every twist and turn of the Fever season, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter. Because no matter what happens next, one thing is certain. Lexie Hull didn't hold back, and for one unforgettable night, she gave Indiana Fever fans a reason to believe again.